Good morning. All right, so I was just doing a little orientation to meditation that we're going to do this morning. So it's coming out of Hermetic. So we're going to find our way into a comfortable seated position this morning. And we're going to get into a position so that you're super comfortable. You want to have your seat elevated. You want to make sure your back is supported. As I'll be doing a little bit of guiding into breath awareness, a little bit of reading, and a little bit of guiding the breath, and then a little bit of reading. And we're going to be going back and forth. So it's about coming into a state of meditation so that we can better absorb and integrate some ideas about meditation and the breath and our practices, right? It's creating the fertile ground to plant seeds this morning. Right? These are our winter seeds we'll be planting, right? So if you're getting comfortable, wiggling around until everything feels supported, that's it. If you need to move your body in some way to release the tension of the evening, take your time and move your body. That's it. And if you need to take a minute to roll around, if one hip is tight, adjust your seat until you find you're completely comfortable. Right? As we find our way into our meditation posture, maybe the legs are crossed, maybe there's a leg stretched out. Wherever you are, just find a way to be at ease this morning. The shoulders are relaxed, the head is up on top of the shoulders. Maybe tuck the chin in just a little to create a little length in the back of the neck. And as we come into this posture of meditation, we come into the awareness that we can never work on just the body or just the soul or just the mind. They're all trained simultaneously together. It's how we come to a strength of character, how we evolve the cities that are possible for us as humans. There's always been a caution of trying to train one aspect or the other. And the mind can be a busy place. So we practice the virtues of patience, perseverance, and tenacity. And there's a theory that we should be kind and generous and tolerant with everyone else, our children, our family, our yoga students. But we're relentless with ourselves, tapas, disciplined. We let go of criticism of others, and we sweep our own doorstep first this morning. As we move into our inner sanctuary, let the face be soft and relaxed, let the jaw relax, forehead widening, eyes widening. Notice what's going on in the mind this morning. Are there rushing thoughts? Maybe there's a pull back towards slumber. Maybe you're thinking about all the other things you should be doing today. Maybe there's a thread of criticism of self and somehow. And just take the position of observer this morning, a silent observer, silently watching our thoughts, letting them flow freely and independently, just watching, but being aware of watching. Even as I'm talking to you and words are coming out of my mouth, I can hear the tap in the kitchen dripping. A cat walked by my window and caught my attention. The mind is tricky. Just noticing, smiling to yourself, and noticing and watching. As soon as you get lost in the thoughts, consciously pull back and try not to lose the train of thought, but pursue it attentively. Be aware of falling asleep even as you're sitting. If you get tired, if you feel like your eyes feel tired, or you feel a sense of agitation, then just stop and breathe naturally. But for the moment, keep following the thoughts. With each breath now, let's allow the breath to become a little bit deeper, a little bit fuller. We come to the complete yoga breath. Inhaling deep into the belly, expanding up through the chest and into the collar, and exhaling collar, chest, abdomen at your own pace. Inhaling from the bottom up, exhaling from the top down. Inhaling until it feels as if there's no room left for breath. Exhaling until there is nothing left. Inhaling completely, exhaling completely. Each breath, an invitation to be right here, right now. Even as we watch the breath, watching the thoughts in the mind attentively today. And notice if there's a particular thought arising in the mind, and see if you can hold on to that thought, a single thought or idea, and hold it for a little longer. Suppress any other thoughts associating and obtruding with force in the mind, And keep coming back to that one thought, that one stream of thought. Complete breath in, complete breath out. Notice if the mind wants to jump to another thought, and keep coming back to that thought. Refusing all other thoughts vigorously. No criticism or judgment if you find it difficult to stay with one thought. Just keep coming back to that thought. And then allowing the breath to return to its natural rhythm. Let go of all thought. Dismiss energetically any thought that comes up in the mind. As best as you can, hold on to this state of consciousness, of vacancy, without digressing or forgetting. You may only be able to be there for a few seconds. Gradually, we can hold it for minutes. Each time you notice there's anything other than complete vacancy, begin again. Complete vacancy, nothing. releasing all effort. And we'll read a little bit from the introduction to Hermetics. In our own mansion, meaning our body and our soul, we must at every moment find our way about. Therefore, our first task is to know ourselves. Each initiation system, no matter which kind it be, puts this condition in the first place. Without self-knowledge, there will be no real development at a higher level. As best as you can, staying in this state that you've created by being willing to pay attention to the breath and the thoughts. I'm going to find your way to your writing materials. You can find a place to write. So you're going to need a pen and paper, or if you use your computer to write, right? Just as best as you can, stay inward. And we're going to be giving you some guidance to write with. And this diary that we're going to write, or this journal we're going to write today, is for your use only and must not be shown to anybody else. This is not something we share with our students or our family. This is we're going to write for ourselves today. It represents the so-called control book for you, and the self-control of our failures, our habits, our passions, instincts, and other character traits. We have to observe a hard and severe attitude towards ourselves in the beginning. We want to be merciless toward ourselves and not embellish any of our failures or deficiencies. So we take a moment right now and think about ourselves and let's put ourselves back into different situations in our past and remember how we behaved then and which mistakes or failures occurred in various situations. Just taking a moment and it's your perception. Someone else might not have looked at it as a mistake or a failure, right? But how to think this is about you and yourself. It's not for anyone else but you. Make notes of all of your weaknesses down to the finest nuances and variations. The more we're discovering, the better for us. Nothing must remain hidden, nothing unrevealed. No matter how insignificant or great your faults or frailties may be. Some of the most disciplined and most achieved gurus, teachers, discover hundreds of failures, hundreds in the finest shades. Right? And this is about our inner critical voice. What does it do? What does it say? This is about a way of washing our soul perfectly clean, sweeping all the dust out of it. It's said that those that practice this possess good meditation and deep penetration into their own soul. Maybe you tend to write in stories. Maybe you write in point form. Give yourself time to think about it. Write some more. Think about it. Write some more. As you think about it, sometimes there's faults that are hidden. If you feel like you've written everything you can think of, just allow yourself to contemplate it again for a few minutes and then come back to writing again. Write down anything you can think of. When you feel like you've written down everything you can this morning, you're going to draw a rubric with the 4 elements: fire, earth, water, and air, and see if you can assign each of your faults or weaknesses to an element. If you're not sure, you can create a separate column for indifferent, and you may find the element reveals itself later. For instance, you could ascribe jealousy, hatred, vindictiveness, irascibility, or anger to the fiery element. Frivolity, self-presumption, boasting, squandering, gossiping to the element of air. Indifference, laziness, frigidity, compliance, negligence, shyness, insolence, instability to the watery element. Laziness, consciousnessless, melancholy, irregularity, anomaly, and dullness to the element of earth. failures, weaknesses, things we don't necessarily like about ourselves, things we hide from other people. Once you've put all of these ideas and faults and failures into a grid of the elements, and give you a little time to work on each element. And within that element, grade those qualities, those incidences on a scale of 1 to 3. 3 being our absolute worst faults, the thing that happens at the slightest opportunity. 2, embracing faults that occur less frequently in a slighter degree. And 1, faults that happen only now and again. So rating them on a scale of 3 to 1. Now, if you're struggling with grouping any of them, feel free to just make a column that says indifferent. You're not sure where it comes from, or just think about if, for instance, if I slept in and didn't hear my alarm, it's a fault of it comes from sloth and laziness and indulgence in my mind. It might be different for you. So remember, you're interpreting it for you as well. Right? And don't get too hung up on it. And we're going to let that be enough. Know that you can keep adding to these lists, and we should spend a week adding to this list. And we're going to shift gears a little bit now, and we're going to start to make a list. And if you like, you can start it in a grid of the elements of what our good physical qualities are, what our good mental qualities are, what our good spiritual qualities are, entering them into the same categories of elements, giving them a score of 3 to 1. Examples of the elements with the good qualities might be activity, enthusiasm, firmness, courage, daring to the fiery element, diligence, joy, dexterity, kindness, lust, optimism to the air element, modesty, absent-mindedness, fervency, compassion, tranquility, tenderness, forgiveness to the watery element. It's not absent-mindedness. That would be a fault, wouldn't it be? It's abstemiousness, abstaining. The act of abstaining. My dyslexic brain can't get around that word. And respect, endurance, conscientiousness, thoroughness, sobriety, punctuality, and responsibility to the earthy element. Right? And so don't worry about getting it right, but worry about sensing and feeling what they are for you. So making lists of your good characteristics, your good qualities, the good deeds you've done. when you feel like you've fleshed out the good qualities, the good things you've done, the good things that you do into the four elements, into the best, moderate, and sometimes categories, I'd use a little sticker, and let's put like a little, let's do the little heart like that, and I'll know you're done. I don't want to rush you. We've got time. So just let me know when you're finished writing what you want to write this morning. We'll move on to the next part of this meditation. Okay. So now taking a look at both and thinking about now what we look at here are the two so-called astral psycho mirrors, a black one with the negative psychic qualities, and a white one with the good and noble character traits. The two mirrors are correct mirrors, and none but the owner has any rights to look into them at all. This is something that is just for your eyes. As you begin to build your own strength of character, strengthening the nadis, the energy body, the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional bodies. And in the course of our development, we remember any good or bad quality. We're going to write it down in this list. And we begin to acknowledge where our motivation is coming from on an elemental level and what is prevailing in our decision making. Sometimes the black, sometimes the white mirror. And this recognition is part of making conscious decisions. It's about waking up and choosing our actions consciously. It's how we maintain our equipoise and further develop our mental, physical, and spiritual abilities. Starting with the ability to look at ourselves clearly without criticism or judgment, and just knowing that they're two parts of human nature. Let's let our eyes close for a moment, let the attention turn inward. Just give yourself time to feel and sense what's come up for you in making these two lists, making these two rubrics. Really feel. Imagine you're holding one in each hand and feel the different qualities. Do they feel like they weigh something different? Do they feel is the texture different? Just feeling and sensing. Releasing all form and relaxing into the natural rhythm of the breath. And if you want now, stretch out on the floor and we'll spend a few minutes in Shavasana, just relaxing completely. Nothing to do now but relax and breathe and be right here, right now. In a moment now, we'll begin to become aware of the room around us, the floor, the body, the breath. Take a moment to contemplate what's important to you today. And begin to do whatever the body feels the need to do now. Stretch, roll around. And eventually, we'll come on up to a seated posture together. No hurry, taking our time, coming on around. Let the attention be inward a little longer. Let's take a deep breath together. Inhale, lay the hands up, look it up. Exhale, hands into our heart this morning. And if you like, join me in chanting Om. Taking a deep breath in. Om. Shanti. Namaste.